be really interested to understand what exactly is blockchain technology and how does it relates to the world of HR.
Right. Well, first of all, glad to be here with you. This is an exciting topic for me. I've dedicated countless hours of time to this over the past 4 years. And blockchain is still an evolving technology that and I'm going to try to keep things real simple, kind of like I learned it, because many people are just understanding that blockchain isn't just Bitcoin; it's so much more. But blockchain, to put it kind of in the simplistic terms, it's a decentralized ledger. Now, just that alone is a lot of syllables. All right, so let's talk about what that is. When you're in the cloud today or on the internet today and you work on Google, let's say, Google is a centralized database, right? They keep all your information from YouTube and all the different properties in one centralized database. Really, they connect it internally. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Amazon, same thing. Tencent, Alibaba, depending upon where people are watching this from. They know that. That's the internet today. It's called centralized, right? So blockchain is a decentralized technology. So it's a database, more or less, that stores information on servers all over the world, but not controlled by Google or Amazon or Facebook or anybody like that, but they're individual servers. And some of those servers you might have heard of, they're miners. They actually create and form different types of tokens, but we won't go too deep into that. Second of all, it's a ledger. It's an immutable ledger. It's a record of a transaction. So it's what you do stored forever in a database on computers around the world. You might think, well, that's scary. Actually, it's more secure than centralized databases. I had a friend that worked at one of the technology companies that we talked about, and he had access for security reasons. He was in, he could see the data of everybody. He could see their drive or whatever the case may be. Here, it's not like that. These are encrypted transactions stored on computers throughout the world. In some cases, depending upon things called proof of work, proof of stake, for the people who know blockchain, you've heard those things. You have to hack more than 51% of the computers that store the information to do that. And that's an almost impossible task today. So it's more secure than traditional centralized data. An immutable, decentralized record of information stored throughout the world. That's what blockchain is.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm sure people watching this from throughout the world, they will have a better understanding about blockchain a little more now. Now, how do you think it relates to the industry? How does it relate to my industry? I'm from HR. So how do you connect it to human resource?
Yeah, as we both are. And just to be fair to all the other guys who I worked with at the previous company, I'm a co-patent holder with those guys, but we were excited about getting that. In 2019, when we were awarded the patent, there were only about 60 patents awarded in blockchain in the United States the entire year. This was a patent on human resources and blockchain. So we're very excited to get it. And that's the industry I've been in for decades. So let me kind of tell you how it relates to anything first, because then you'll start to think about the use cases. So when I first started learning about blockchain, an analogy that came, which is called FITS, FITS. And that stands for fraud, intermediaries, throughput, and stable data. And I've always thought about blockchain in that area. So let's talk about that real quick. Wherever there's fraud in a process, blockchain can help eliminate it. It's an immutable record. No more fake resumes. So I'll just give you like little anecdotal examples as I go through this. Wherever there's intermediaries, it will take them out eventually. Now, we're going to get into this, I think, a little bit later in that, it's a people business. Can you really take recruiters out? No, not entirely. But where you don't need to do things for humans, you can take out the intermediary. Fraud, intermediaries, FITS model again. Throughput, where you have massive amounts of information. It's better processed on a decentralized format because you're not limited to what a centralized processor could do or what centralized applications can do. So decentralization, as we talked about what blockchain is, really helps with massive data. And where you have stable data, it helps to hold a record of that forever. And in the human resources, we have an affliction in human resources and staffing. Too many apps, too many things, there's always something new. And you got to take your data from here to there, or you don't ever get to do that, or it's disconnected. You got to bounce around systems. Blockchain will help eliminate that too. So to put it into, just kind of go into a little bit deeper. So where you have like a high cost per hire or high time to fill, rather than having to search for whether something is true or not on a resume or what somebody said or the references, that information will be stored in the blockchain. That'll speed up the hiring process. That'll lower the cost. That'll lower the time to fill. As those of us who work in the industry get sick of working with all these different systems, from VMSs, ATSs, HRIS systems, and you name it, background screening systems, whatever. This is going to connect all those systems into one stable database. As a matter of fact, it's going to allow the candidate to control their data, which is living in all these disparate systems, and they can release it. That's going to be revolutionary and paradigm shifting to the industry. Data ownership. As a candidate or sometimes even as a staffing company, which I have a background in as well, you put your data out there and you're afraid of it getting stolen or somebody else using it without your permission. Blockchain will bring that back to the data owner, and they'll be able to control whether their profile is available in an ATS at that point in time, or whether you want to submit a profile to an ATS via a smart contract, a blockchain technology, which basically automates the use of an agreement between two different systems. Where there's the misuse of trust, like we talked about, any type of fraud in the process, whether it's identification, a contract worker showing up out at a contract that they weren't actually the person that interviewed for. This will help eliminate that in the process. So there are so many use cases for our industry that we're going to see. And we're in this is like internet in 1992 right now with blockchain. It's really early.
Right. Oh, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. Now,
Sure.
I'm glad that you use anecdote using blockchain technology and its usage in our real life, in the industry, in human resource. But my next question, a follow-up question to that would be, what type of benefits can blockchain bring specific to recruiters? Why would a recruiter be inclined towards blockchain?
Well, first of all, the world is becoming more inclined towards blockchains. Let's talk about what we know about blockchain today and understand where it's going, because now it's internet 1992, like I said, right? Amazon wasn't even around until like 98. Now look where we are with Amazon. You can't even get away from it. So people know blockchain from DeFi, decentralized finance, or things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or Polkadot. They've heard of those things before. That's one use case for blockchain. You also have things called NFTs. We heard a lot about that this year. Yep. NFTs will store value. Now, I'm not going to get too far afield or too far ahead on this. I just want to give you like an idea of what's coming. NFTs will store a statement of work value. So you'll be able to put a $1 million statement of work inside of an NFT and then smart contract payments to people based upon milestones that are recorded in the blockchain that they do. That's about as far as I'm going to go in that example because I'm keeping it simple. And then the third use case that will change organizations and thus change recruiters is DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations, where instead of having a board of directors, you have technology run with smart contracts, what happens at a company, and then people who own tokens in that DAO vote. And that DAO could be an association of software developers, blockchain developers. It could be an association of construction workers. It could actually automate like Uber, who shows up at a construction site. So from a recruiting perspective, why is it important to know blockchain now? Well, number one, if you're a technology recruiter, blockchain is the fastest growing skill set in demand in the world right now out of any skill set. Job posts have doubled for it. There's hiring, the new DeFi companies, again, the blockchain or the Cardanos of the world, they're hiring thousands of people. So if you're a recruiter, great industry to be in. But from a practical perspective, we're not there yet where you'll use it every day. Now, what I've told, and we're preaching at our company, which is both Smart Search, which is where I participate today, as well as Huddle 3, the parent company. Things like storing your resume as an NFT will make it so that it's a trusted, validated resume once, and then you can then send it to the recruiter. As a staffing company or as an internal recruiter, you can then trust that that resume is true. That's coming very soon as one simple use case. So long story short, you're going to see in the coming months, coming years, blockchain become very pervasive. If a company can get ahead of their use of it, they'll become more trusted in the eyes of their clients, their hiring managers. And if they don't get ahead of it, then they'll be irrelevant. That's my belief.
Personally, to take away from the last answer that you gave, NFT as SOW and NFT as a resume, I never thought, I'm just amazed the usage of NFT for resume and for SOW, because I thought NFT is all about weird pixelated image getting sold for millions of dollars, because that's what's happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Internet 1992, right? Remember back in the day, and I don't even know if you were around in 1992, Ranjay, but I was alive and kicking. you use your browser to look at a picture that would on a screeching 56K baud modem would come in, and it would take like 3 minutes to get one picture in. So that's where we're at with NFTs today. Now look at what we can do. We're streaming Netflix, right? We're downloading 100 meg files in like 3 seconds.
Yes.
So there's a lot of room for it, but yes, individuals will have. Let's backtrack for a second. NFTs, they are a use case of blockchain like Bitcoin. It's on the blockchain like Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is a token. You go, here's one Bitcoin. Thank you. It's worth $2,000 today. But here's one NFT. It's a resume. It's different than any other thing in the world, but it's stored in the blockchain, and you know that it's for real, right? Because you're passing it to one person. So NFTs are going to become a very strong use case of not only resumes, but also services in general. And I believe staffing companies will sell pre-sell their services as NFTs. Their clients can buy them, and then their clients will be able to resell that if they don't use them all.
It just blows my mind. I mean, the usage is unlimited. Now, my next question would be, how can blockchain work together with artificial intelligence in the recruiting process?
That's a great question. Excuse me. What you're talking about is convergence, all right? So what we have going on in the world today isn't just blockchain, and it's not just AI, it's converging technology. What do you get when you converge AI and robotics? You get an autonomous robot. What do you get when you converge AI and drones? You get Amazon deliveries that come and fly to your house, right? What do you get when you converge AI and VR, AR? You get metaverses with characters that you interact with that seem real but aren't even real people. So convergence is going to change everything, and blockchain, by everything that I'm seeing at least, will be the database of record, for immutable database of record underpinning all these things. So what does AI and blockchain do together in our industry? So that patent that I helped co-found, we sold to job.com in January of 2019, but it was a family of patents. So the second patent around the storing information in a blockchain for human resources was a career score. So being able to take disparate data from all these different systems that we interact with all the time, and sometimes we don't even know, from background screening to ATS to VMS to portals and what have you. What if that was all be able to be integrated together in a way where those companies weren't afraid to give up their data? So it was private, unless you just have what you need. So basically, a career score could take all this disparate data and analyze it and tell you this person basically has a career score of 750 for this job, related to the FICO score. Yep. And then, millions and billions of dollars of transactions are used every day in using a FICO score. We just trust it. Oh, you're an 800 FICO score? No interest. You don't even need to know anything else about it. Well, I believe that AI will help analyze all this information that we're taking in and putting in databases, which blockchain will bring the trust to bring it all together into one unified, decentralized, centralized coming together database. And you'll be able to have a FICO-like career score. And you'll be able to say, instead of looking at resumes all day, you'll be able to say that person's an 800 score for this job, get him in here tomorrow. Because that's what we do with Uber drivers. They get below 4.7 stars, they're off, they don't drive anymore. But if you get a 5-star driver, you're like, ooh, you feel good about yourself. You get a 4.8 driver, you're like, where are we going? I'm not so sure about this. So that's how I see AI being used to bring all this data together to help hiring and help put people in the right place at the right time.
Right. So I'll stick with recruitment for a minute again, because it's very close to my heart and I'm in this industry for the last 15 years.
Yep.
Each coin has two sides, and with all the hunky-dory thing, with everything good with blockchain, artificial intelligence, I'm sure there are a few disadvantages of blockchain technology with regards to recruitment process or some challenges, something that you can highlight.
Yeah, well, for our industry, I think that, by our industry, meaning the staffing industry, right? And also services around that. But also for internal, it does have the potential to disintermediate, to take people out of the process. So I feel like as individuals, we owe it to ourselves and our families to really learn about this technology, to get ahead of it, to become the master of it, because it does have the opportunity to take people out of at least tasks. And they're going to have to get good at other things that blockchain doesn't take out, right? Why do you need to call references anymore? Why do you need to have a background screening company as robust anymore? So it does have the ability to disrupt our industry. And I think staying ahead of that is really important as an individual. if you just on a basic level though, for like if you have a cryptocurrency today and you lose your wallet, there's no customer support you call to help you. If you lose your Ethereum wallet, it's gone. If you lose your Bitcoin wallet, then those coins are gone forever. So we've given up a lot of responsibility when we hand our data over to the cloud that we take back as individuals when this gets decentralized. And we're going to have to be responsible for that in new ways. So just at the simple level, losing your password for your NFT means it's gone forever. Losing a password to your resume, meaning that resume that people like 5,000 times over, that maybe you earned $500 on for it being posted on job boards, you may not have access to it anymore. So the simple things.
Right. So, and just playing the roles of devil's advocate here. Now, I'm sure people watching us, and there's a recruiter sitting in Bangalore, India, or in San Jose, California, and the recruiter may be thinking, okay, so will blockchain make my job obsolete? Is that something that you can throw light on?
Well, it's convergence again that is more important to look at, and one point in time is called the singularity. You may have heard of it from like Ray Kurzweil, who's a well-known scientist. When artificial intelligence becomes smarter than any one person on the planet, that's called artificial general intelligence. So it becomes the smartest recruiter on the planet. That's when AI and blockchain together, this trusted, stable data that's pulled from multiple centralized sources, and AI does your job for you. And you can interact with a virtual avatar, so it looks like a regular recruiter, and it does the job for you. So that's interesting. But what will never be taken away from people in the process, and by the way, you look at Amazon, they have 250,000 people on staff and 100,000 robots. That'll probably flip-flop soon. Those robots run around the warehouses and they lift 1,500 pounds, and they bring a shelf of goods to a worker at Amazon who picks it and then puts it in a tray and it boxes itself. So robots are doing a lot of the process that people used to do. But you don't need to be scared, because there's always going to be, this is a people business, and this recruiting is about hiring people. Now, smart contracts will hire themselves eventually, and that's a totally different thing. But recruiters will hire people. You'll need creativity. You'll need emotion. You'll need to be able to understand people for that. So we'll be taken out of looking at 100 resumes, calling for references. The stuff that's monotonous will get taken out of, but you'll be a good recruiter because you can sell the job to somebody, right? That's still really important. Understand what their wants and needs are. Understand where they're at that day and that point in time to help them, guide them through the process. So all the human things that make us human, the emotions and everything else, that's still a big part of our job, and we'll still be doing all that.
Let's say 2050, but the human element is still there. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that settled a lot of nerves. People worrying about the future of recruitment industry and blockchain and AI, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, our industry is interesting because it's stayed the same since William Kelly, who started Kelly Services way back in the 50s. It hasn't changed much since he started that. And it's changed. Everything's changing so fast now. Like a lot of the things we talked about early in this, like DAOs, that's going to change how organizations are structured. And that's going to change what recruiting you need to do at all. So it's our personal responsibility for those of us watching to learn this stuff, so we stay ahead of it for our own career. And those that learn and understand this, I think, will get ahead faster because they're going to be in such demand.
Right. Somewhere I believe the last question that I had for you, you've already answered, which is, what does the future hold for blockchain in recruitment? And I think you have answered, but let me rephrase that question and ask you, as a layman who wants to get into this industry and wants to understand, where does one start?
Well, I'm combining keywords here. So if you're going to combine staffing and blockchain, start with creating a network and a community of blockchain professionals, and you'll probably be one of the highest money earners in the industry because they're so hard to find. So that's a great place to start. Start with the basics of what we do today. I do feel like it's important for people, even at a base level, to get a wallet, whether it's on Coinbase here in the US or otherwise, and just buy $10 of Bitcoin, because you can do that. It's not $52,000, it's fractional. And to understand what it is, and to get a little bit excited about, buying some Ethereum or buying some Cardano or buying some Bitcoin and get in the game. I'm not talking about going out with your life savings, just $10, right? Just so when you're looking at what's happening in the market, you're understanding it. And, my thing is, I tap into YouTube personally like it's the Matrix, right? There's so much to learn on YouTube, and there's so many smart people out there. So just, there's an account like Coin Bureau. You can find it on YouTube. That guy is really good about explaining the basics and also the complicated things. So I would recommend going to watch a Berkeley or a Stanford student presentation on Bitcoin on YouTube and learning about it, right? And of course, you can go into our industry, blockchain and staffing. And there's a lot of people who have talked about what's going on there. Learn it, get ahead of it. It's a blue ocean. Nobody has innovated yet in the space, and you who's watching this could be that person.
Right. Well, Bill Inman, thank you so much for your time. I know you are a busy man, but taking out time and helping us with those answers. I'm a curious person, and I was so excited when I get to know that I'm going to interview you. So I'm so thankful that you took out some time and answered those questions, which will help us understand blockchain technology a little better.
No, thank you so much. You're too much. I'm just lucky enough to be at the right place, the right time, and see this coming. I didn't become a dot-com billionaire, so I know that this is a transformation that I want to ride the train of. So lucky and happy to be on it. But thank you so much, Ranjay, for the time and for the thoughtful questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Bill. Bye.